Hello, and welcome to the combining of forces that is Klaus Ultimate and weWow. If you know Klaus, you know we're fairly rife with puns, so I will get one out of the way and just say that us cats are ultimately wowed that you have made time in your Tuesday to be here. If you're anyone in customer support, you know that what is dominating all of the conversations nowadays is AI. To chatbot or not to chatbot isn't actually the question anymore. It's much more about how to implement AI and bots for the best and the most cost-effective customer service, which isn't an easy equation, and it varies from company to company and customer to product. There are many variables. But luckily, we have some folks today here who can hopefully shed some light on this from all angles, customer expectations and how bots are changing the game, and ultimately what it means for quality. So without further ado, we have Robin, who is the founder and managing director of weWow. weWow focus on helping growth-driven companies with their customer service. We have Silva, who is the director of partnerships at Ultimate. Ultimate helps companies offer better and faster support with AI. And finally, we have Mervi, who is head of machine learning and data at Klaus. And at Klaus, we're all about support quality. Mervi is pioneering the ways in which AI can help support teams improve. Finally, I'm Grace. I'm the senior content specialist at Klaus, and for the next half hour, I'm going to be your moderator. So we're going to have a bit of a discussion first on the balance of human and bot support and what that means for quality. And then the last 10 minutes will be a Q&A session. You can already start asking your questions in the field, and we will line them all up for our experts to answer. We will very first start with a poll, however, because we want to put the first question to you. And that is striking a balance between bot and human support a challenging task? Yes, no, or not yet applicable? And while you answer, I will throw this over to Robin, who will take the floor a little to talk about weWow.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Like Grace said, we're weWow. We're helping or supporting growth companies with their customer service. Basically, I'm a Dutchie, but we're based in sunny Spain, in Valencia to be exact. 10 years ago, we opened their office for HelloPrint, e-commerce platform from the Netherlands, and basically we built the customer service teams here, and we're now using that experience to support other growth companies to build their customer service teams as well. We're not the typical BPO or call center. We're really an extension of our customers, and we're really helping them implementing technology, but also building great customer service teams. We're not doing that alone. We're using a lot of great partners like Klaus and Ultimate AI. And that's why we are here today, to answer your questions.
Excellent. And now we'll go over to Silva, who can tell us a bit more about Ultimate.
Thanks, Grace, for the invitation, and hello from Ultimate. I'm Simon Reshevsky, Director of Partnerships. So at Ultimate, we aim at building like the greatest platform for support automation. So the idea is that we provide you with a platform where you can build and maintain like virtual agents on different platforms such as Zendesk, Salesforce, and others. And basically like have a support platform and create experiences for your customers and grow in automation. We see that basically like AI will dominate support spending in the next decade. We were seeing that in the past few years, both the technology capabilities and spending have risen by a lot. And we see that it's a trend that will keep on happening. I think like we will discuss like a few topics such as the immense hype of generative AI and what that meant for the landscape, and how like the rise of ChatGPT like meant for support, and how it can really like change the way of how we interact with our customers. And so the question is really like, should we just like change everything, erase, and then start fresh, or really like how can we take what we already have and keep going on? And I think that's really why it's interesting to be here with all of these partners today, because I think like none of us can help you as a customer achieve that alone. Like we all need to work together from a service side, from a quality perspective, and from a platform, an AI platform as we are, to help. And we need to all work together to help create the best experiences for your customers.
Absolutely. And with that, Mervy, you can elucidate a bit more on what Klaus means in that equation.
Thanks, Grace. I'm Mervi. I'm the head of machine learning and data. Klaus is an AI-based support quality tool, and we're focused on surfacing the critical things for humans to review so that everyone who interacts with a customer, whether a virtual agent or actual agent, what they say can be checked and improved on. At Klaus, we have an elaborate NLP engine operating natively in the app. With the latest large language models plugged into play. So not only to find things for humans to go over and to check the quality, but to actually do part of this job completely automatically with our auto QA feature, so that in the end you achieve 100% coverage into the quality.
We can maybe pop back into our poll already and see if we have a little bit of a response and how take the temperature of how you guys are all feeling about that balance between tech and human support. Or maybe we can. If we don't have the poll results yet, I will instead start with our first question for the open discussion, which is coming back to what you were saying, which is about the AI hype. And in the wake of ChatGPT, there are so many generative bots at the moment. And what does that actually mean for quality, for customer support quality?
I'm happy to start here. So yeah, I think it's really interesting because we see that the AI hype like came in waves. Like we already had like a first wave of like, or like kind of like the original wave of chatbot that happened in 2016, where we saw like a lot of support organizations like equipping themselves with chatbot solutions. The challenge at the time was that basically the solutions, like the technology, was not there to meet the expectations of the customer. And then because it's only in 2018 that we had the language models to satisfy the demands here. And basically now, like with generative AI, what's really interesting is that the technologies like have far outgrown in some ways like the needs of the market, because like a lot of what the customers still need today is just a good NLP that's here to understand what the actual intention of the customer is. And right now we have the right models to train basically those we have the right algorithm to train those models in the right way. And right now the question is like how much power do you want to give to the generative AI solutions? Because at the end of the day, generative AI means that you cannot control the outcome, versus like giving power to, once the agents that would be empowered by AI automation, or automating like some of the flows yourself, but still controlling basically like the dialogues. And so I think it's just, for support organization today, the challenge is to strike the right balance between how much do you want to fully automate, but then you have to understand that you lose a bit of the control of the outcome, and how much AI do you want to put into the processes that are still in the hands of the agent. But at the end of the day, the agents will still be empowered by AI, by, for instance, like giving the agent some of the sentiments detection, giving some of the agent suggestions of how to answer. So I think the question today is not anymore to AI or not to AI, is how much AI do you want to how much AI do you want to fully automate versus just empowering your agents.
Mhm.
So striking that balance. And I think the answer depends on what kind of organization, what kind of support you want to give.
Yeah, I think that that there needs to be a good interplay with classical intent-driven bots that Sylvain said that it started from 2016 or even before, and these generative bots, because the generative bots it's hard to control. And as we see that, nevertheless, the usage of AI, whether the classical NLP bot or the generative bot is increasing, then monitoring what the generative bots do or or how they play well with the classical bots or how they play with the agent, it becomes even more of a thing. So you can, like, you should have tools that you can have visibility into the answers the bot gives. How does the customer react to these answers? So in a way, you have to train the bots in the same way that little bit you train humans. And that's like we see this gap in Klaus, or we see this potential in Klaus, that no longer you have to review only humans, but you also have to review these generative bots. And the purpose is like not to see if they do something wrong, but also to increase the area where they can operate. And or indeed it can be that maybe you need to train the classical bot to take part so that the visibility is better. Yes.
In the end, we went through it first with HelloPrint and now for different customers. The technology is getting better and better, and I think the question is not really should we do it. I think everybody should embrace it if you are also searching for a combination of efficiency and quality. But indeed, the control of the right metrics is very important. So yeah, just monitor very tightly what is the effect on CSAT or on quality. But yeah, in the end, you can treat the bot also as an agent itself. So if you set the right business rules, yeah, you should be in control of what happens.
Yeah, and another thing that becomes interesting with these large language models from Klaus side is that we can use these to also analyze what's been said, and with the tools we have built, you can also like check humans exactly the same way without bias as you would do a generative bot. So that gives you like this very honest view into the action. So like, for example, you can check if the bot offered a solution to the customer or if the agent, and the methodology is the same. So they really become equal.
I think it's interesting, particularly what you said, Robin, about it. It's the rules that you set, right? It very much is a tool, AI, that is. So it depends on who is using it, right? Whose hands the tool is in as to how effective it is. Which leads to a big question, which is like, okay, so it's about power. How much power do you give a bot?
Yeah, I think that's a very wide question that can be like taken from a large variety of angles. I think like what we defend at Ultimate is that there is a question of like where is the project starting, and you know, as Mervy pointed out, there is a question of like not differentiating, or like differentiating less and less, like the quality of human agent and bots. And also that lies in the fact that I think historically in a lot of organizations, the bot projects were not necessarily owned by support organizations. So then you could see like a clear disconnect between how the bot flows were organized versus how the support flows were organized by human agents. And I think that's something that we defend at Ultimate, because we aim at like giving access to the platform to automation managers, chatbot managers that now are sitting within the support organization, so that you make sure that there are no silos between building and maintaining advanced bot solutions and also like your, like, you know, say like human support as well, and making sure that you have the right synergies that are built there. And I think that's really like a key aspect, because I think historically in a lot of organizations, like the management of, like, let's say both human and those chatbot solutions were not necessarily like made within the same levels of organization. And right now we see that it's merging more and more. So it's somehow like creating also like a lot more clarity in the market. And with regards to the hype, I think like that brought also like a lot of light on those AI topics. But I think, you know, like once the smoke dissipates a bit, then like it's going to be interesting, because at the end of the day, it will create more clarity on, okay, like what is the right path for support organization to work with AI, and then find the right balance for them on, or to your point, Grace, like understand how much power we want to give the AI, because now we're like now a bit coming away from this impression that AI is just something that you turn on and it just works. And now like organizations are starting to see and understand that they should use AI as a tool and not necessarily as a magic wand for their all their support challenges.
Actually,
Yeah,
this thing that you said, Sylvain, about bot building moving closer to the support organization is a very good sign, also like, in my opinion, for me, because what is like the connecting path? How do you check the conversations that humans do and feed that then possibly to the bot builders, or where you let the generative bot answer, or also you can use the generative tool to improve every like what the agent says. So it's like a very good sign that this is kind of like merging or converging into the like action point.
yeah, we also see it here happening. I think Murphy said earlier, our bots and agents are almost becoming the same. And I think where first the team leads or the senior agents were responsible for the quality of new agents coming in, now they are basically changing into responsibility for quality of the bot answers. And that's Sylvain, you also said it with Ultimate AI, you see the shift from customer service agent to automation specialist. So I really think that's the way forward.
Yeah, the evolution is going to be certainly interesting to watch, and I think hindsight is going to, you know, really tell us so much more, right, about when, like as you said, Sylvain, the smoke does dissipate. What will emerge will be hopefully interesting, and hopefully the focus will always be on quality and be on the customers. We have, as you maybe saw, the results of the poll, which was that 57% of people do find that balance a challenge. A third almost of people don't actually yet use a bot. So I hope they will find this discussion useful when they will start. And then 14% of people have managed to strike that balance so far anyway, which is probably a good time to start throwing it open to the audience for some questions. So really, you know, we've discussed a lot about the balance of human and bot support and how to maintain that and make sure that there is not necessarily equal footing, but that it becomes much easier to orchestrate something that is going to have a much more cohesive level of quality in support. And now I'll maybe ask what our team thinks about empathy in that equation.
Well, we have in our part of our auto QA offering is empathy detector. So basically, given a conversation, assess if agent was being empathic, and we have seen that it correlates more than 90% with what humans rate as something being empathic. So this is amazing, considering that it does 100% of the coverage of the conversations, not just 2 or 3 or something like that. So I think how large language models operate well, or what is the domain they operate well, everything that can be done by like any human. So like if you can ask any human, can you find something there in a conversation? If it doesn't need like your business knowledge or any specific training, then these large language models are fascinating. They're amazing. They perform sometimes better than people because they don't get tired or they have focus problems. But when it comes to checking your specific process or your adherence to some internal things, then it becomes much more difficult. So like this understanding tone and empathy and asking the large language models help to evaluate that is totally something that that can be done, and we've done that also.
Yeah, I think empathy can be understood in like at few different levels. Like there is the empathy that is communicated to the end customer, and there is like how much like also the empathy that, or like that's my way of reading it, but also like the impact of AI on support organizations themselves, because we see that they're like AI brought its lot of fears and actually quite justified fears, because it would mean that maybe some jobs would be redundant, whilst at the same time like it also offers some new career opportunities. As I mentioned, we see more and more new roles being opened within support organizations, to like support agents and support managers that will grow into those automation roles. So on one hand, there is this aspect of making like those repetitive tasks more redundant, but also making sure that thanks to AI capabilities and really like elaborate intent detection, we are able to kind of like escalate those questions that needs this human touch as fast as possible, and kind of like help reduce the noise really for the human agent, so that they can really focus on the value add. And I think that's a very important aspect. And one thing that's throughout this conversation, and I'm also eager to understand and hear what the audience is thinking about this, because I think there are widely different levels of understanding and education around those topics, and around like how can AI help understand, like how can AI help my organization, and where I think like partners and service organizations such as weWow can really help support organization like identify what kind of solution is adapted for them, what is the level of timeline and involvement they need to put in, so that really like they can have like a tailored AI answer to their organization. So I think that's really like an important point. So I think like you can really like cast empathy like throughout the chain, like with the end customer, make sure they get resolution and get satisfaction as fast as possible. And also like look at your organization with empathy by saying, at the end of the day, those like these positions that will be made redundant by AI, like you cannot go against technologies that are available that in the end make your organization more efficient and your customers more satisfied, but also look at the bright side and look at the opportunities that are generated there. So I think it's just like looking at it from the whole picture.
Yeah, I think from my side, regards to empathy, I think, again, coming back to the business rules, somebody sends an email, I didn't receive my package. Of course, AI can say, too bad you didn't receive your package. For more complex questions about complaints or more high value customers, you can always have the safety nets of guiding those questions to humans. So I think it goes hand in hand also there.
Absolutely. A good safety net or a good escape hatch as well during, bot conversations is going to make, in the end, customers far happier, right? And agents. Which brings us on to the next question, which is about customer expectations. And do you think AI is going to shape them in the future?
I can go first. Yeah, for sure. To be honest, if you only look at the response times and the level of self-service that the current tooling is offering, yeah, it's mind-blowing what we can do with the current technology. So I really think the expectations of customers, yeah, will increase constantly. So I'm convinced.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think it's obviously like it's shaping customers' expectations. I think if you look at our current usage as customers as well. Like we have just always higher expectations. Like we always, like with smartphones, we want to have everything fast. We want like our deliveries to be next day. So obviously the expectations have changed. But for support organizations, what's interesting is that, again, like it's not, I think, like at the beginning I said that it's not about deciding like should we erase everything and start new. It's also like looking at what we have and make use of the good things that we already have built. And a good example of that are like FAQs, for instance. FAQs are now like like a super good repository of information where companies have like spent like a few years like building like and taking care of the knowledge that they internally have. And for instance, right now, like our like generative AI product is able to tap into those knowledge bases directly, and then like we are able to build like a chatbot within minutes. So like if you look at the customer expectations, they're probably not willing to like spend time to kind of like go through your entire knowledge base to look for the right solution, but they want to have like a chatbot that can enable them to access those solutions, like those answers, very fast. So the point is like you need to also look at the great work that you have been doing and like find a way to like make it available fast. And so I think like that's really the key, right? Like just looking at how to answer to your customers in the most efficient way. And that doesn't mean that all the work that you've been doing so far has been like is now useless. You can actually use it in a different way to showcase it for your customer.
Absolutely. We'll have time for one more question, which is CSAT still the best metric to use when measuring the quality of bots and human agents? And if it isn't, then what is?
I think it's still a great metric to use. In the end, it's the experience of the customer on the service provided. So yeah, we still use it a lot. We do use it a lot in combination with quality. So more the internal quality rating, of course, with Klaus framework as well. But for me, CSAT makes sense if it's also connected to bots.
While I completely agree with Robin that yes, CSAT is a very good metric. It's widely used and it's used as a benchmark everywhere. The major problem there is the response rates and like what conclusions can you really draw from the sample that can be very small. So anything that tries to emulate CSAT automatically, which is actually also something that's a great problem for the large language models to solve. Pretend you were an agent. Were you happy with it? Some things that we also have experimented in Klaus CSAT offering is to like just get a better and bigger sample. So I would say CSAT, but automatic.
Yeah, just to throw a stat out there, from our benchmark report, the average CSAT response rate for chat is only 19%. So absolutely, it's a case of the more information you can get, the better, right? Okay, well, that brings us to time, actually 1 minute over. So I'll take the opportunity now to thank first each and every one of our speakers. Great to have you all here. We're all from different corners of Europe, I think, so it's nice to all converge here. And to thank every one of you who tuned in as well. We hope you found this useful, and we also hope to do a follow-up, so please keep your eyes and ears and screens open for that. And also expect an email with this recording in your inbox as well, which hopefully you will find useful after the fact. So thank you very much and have a very good evening or afternoon or morning wherever you are.